With record high inflation, the cost of borrowing is straining wallets. And this morning, according to NerdWallet, the average interest rate for a 30-year fixed mortgage over 7.5%. And that could have a lot of people questioning whether right now is the right time to buy. So joining us to help us sort through these ideas is Dave Elizondo from True Financial Partners in Bettendorf. Dave, good morning. Thank you so much for joining us.
Morning, David. Nice to be here. Thank you.
And so when looking at a current mortgage and even rental rates, how does the Quad Cities compare nationally?
Well, first of all, it's very affordable to live in the Quad Cities compared to the national numbers. I'll give you an example, David. If we use 100 as a baseline for the average cost in the U.S., living in Illinois, that number, housing costs are run around an 80. And the good news is in Iowa, that number is as low as 55. So living in Iowa is a lot more affordable than most other parts of the country. Now, if you break it down by city, Moline is a number 75, Peoria is a 74, and surprisingly, Rockford comes in at a low number of 39. So Rockford is very affordable when you're looking at housing. Now, on the Iowa side of the river, Iowa City is an 87, Davenport is a 78, and Bettendorf is an 88. So Bettendorf is the most expensive place to live in the Quad Cities. And while you see with these numbers, David, that living in the Quad Cities is a lot less expensive than the rest of the country, housing certainly has gone up in the Quad Cities over a year ago, just like everywhere else.
Right. And now to put it in perspective for that number, when you were comparing it to $100 to 70s and 80s, is that specific to mortgages or is that also including apartments as well for rent?
Well, that's just general housing costs in the Quad Cities. Now we all know that in the last year, housing prices have skyrocketed because just 6-9 months ago, there were bidding wars for mortgages and for housing, which drove prices higher. And at the same time, the Fed has dramatically raised interest rates or the borrowing cost of that. So unfortunately, while housing prices have gone up, the mortgage or the cost to borrow money to buy those homes has also gone up dramatically. And then unfortunately also rents around the entire United States have also skyrocketed. So right now, unless you're settled in a place, moving around is very expensive. And for a lot of people, those high interest rates and high costs have knocked them out of the market. They can't shop for a house anymore.
Right. So, I mean, I guess it kind of keeps you stuck between a rock and a hard place. So if I'm somebody who is trying to decide whether to keep renting or to buy a home, how do I make sure that I'm making the right decision? Because it's expensive either way you look at it.
It's very expensive and it's a difficult time. But the good news is that we think that this difficulty might be short-lived. The Fed has been raising rates aggressively this year, but they've mentioned many times that as soon as the economy slows down, that they plan on lowering interest rates. So we're thinking that in the next 9 to 18 months, the Fed will start to reduce mortgage rates. So those mortgage rates should come down, making buying a home a lot more affordable, hopefully in the near future.
And if you buy a home now and you have that higher rate, you can always then refinance or look at refinancing at that time, maybe get a lower rate to save you a little bit of money there.
That's right. So yeah, if you're too far down the process and you're committed to buying a home now, just hopefully in the next 6 to 12 to 9 months, 18 months, I'm sorry, you should be able to refinance and get a lower rate.
Okay. And how would you recommend someone save for a home with today's economy? As you know, I mean, the cost of everything has gone up and it's a lot of people deciding, do I buy groceries or do I buy my prescription drugs?
Everything's gotten more expensive, So again, we're hoping that while the Fed is raising rates, they're going to slow down the economy. We hope this inflation thing a year from now is going to be a lot better, but it's just going to take longer. You're going to have to save for an extra year or two before you can afford that home that you want.
All right, Dave Elizondo with True Financial Partners in Bettendorf. Thank you so much for joining us today. A lot of amazing information. Thank you.
Thank you, David.